Nutrition is key if you'd like to live your best life despite having MS. In this video, I'm going to share with you my 10 top tips for upping your nutrition game and living your best life despite having MS. Don't turn away because that starts right now. Howdy! Thanks for learning about MS with me, Boster. In this video, I'm going to be talking about nutrition. As a multiple sclerosis neurologist for the past decade and a half, not a clinic day goes by that a family doesn't ask about how much water, what's the best kind of protein, what supplements should be avoided, etc. And so that's what we're going to tackle in this video. Buckle up and let's jump in. My first recommendation has to deal with when you eat, not so much as what you eat. It turns out that the timing of eating plays a major role in body composition and weight loss efforts. Any of you that have followed my channel know that I personally have been on this weight loss journey with intermittent fasting. I've lost over 30-some pounds now and kept it off, and I feel great. And importantly, I'm a firm believer now that intermittent fasting is awesome sauce for people impacted by MS. Now, in this video, I'm not asking you to start intermittent fasting. It's been my experience that jumping straight into intermittent fasting can be really challenging for a lot of people. And so this recommendation is sort of an intermediary step. Simply put, I want you to stop snacking. Yeah, literally, I only want you to be eating nutrition during your meals, 2 or 3 sit-down meals a day. And in between those meals, I don't want you eating. Allow me to explain why. When you eat something, your storage hormone insulin elevates in your bloodstream. When the storage hormone insulin is elevated, it tells your body to store energy, all right? And it turns off fat burning. So when insulin is elevated, you cannot burn fat, no lipolysis. Now, after you've stopped eating for several hours, typically about 6 to 8 hours, your insulin level will fall back down. When your insulin level is low, it allows your body to tap into fat burning, and so you can burn your own fat stores. If you're eating and snacking throughout the day, you never allow that to happen. And so the first thing I want you to do is I want you to limit your intake of nutrition to 2 or 3 meals a day. It's a major change, and it's going to help us in giving us times when we feed the engine, our body, and then we use the fuel that we just took in. My second recommendation has to deal with what I want you to avoid, foods to avoid, things to not eat, what's on the naughty list. I want you to avoid heavily processed foods, sugar-laden foods, foods that have the word high fructose corn syrup somewhere in the ingredients. I want you to avoid fast foods and fried foods and diet sodas and soda pop in general. I want you to avoid foods that have ingredients with words that you can't pronounce because let's face it, guys, that's not food, that's a chemical, and I don't want you eating it. I want you to really gravitate towards whole foods, real foods, single ingredient foods, things like broccoli and chicken and milk. Now, this recommendation is actually really challenging and it's a bit expensive because it changes the way that you shop. You're going to need to shop at the perimeter of the supermarket. That's where the real food is, food that will rot and spoil if you don't eat it in time. You're going to need to avoid the center of the supermarket where all the packaged, frozen, and boxed foods that will last indefinitely on the shelf are located. Do me a solid. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Those 2 actions teach the YouTube algorithm that you really like this content and help push it out so more people impacted by MS can benefit. Thank you. My third recommendation is to up your water game. Most of us run around dehydrated, and dehydration has a lot of medical concerns surrounding it, particularly in the setting of multiple sclerosis. Now, if you're trying to achieve a weight loss goal or maintain your body composition, upping your water game will help you. In the setting of MS, you'll notice that when you're adequately hydrated, you're less fatigued, you have less spasticity, you have less constipation, you have less depression. I'm telling you guys, upping your water game is an awesome idea. Now, how much water should you take in? So one easy way to sort this is to simply look at your urine. If your urine is clear, you're good to go and you're adequately hydrated. If your urine is yellow, you're not adequately hydrated and you need to drink more water. And that's actually a very straightforward and simple way to make sure that you get just enough water. If you'd like some guidelines to help you, keep in mind that on average, we want a woman to drink 100 ounces of water a day. So 100 ounces is actually a decent amount of water. That's 5 20-ounce glasses spread throughout the day. And for a gentleman, it's a little bit more, about 120 ounces. So let's take the 100-ounce idea and figure out how we can spread that out throughout the day so as not to be overwhelming. I want you to drink a glass of water with breakfast. You can do that, not that big of a deal. Drink a glass of water with lunch and drink a glass of water with dinner. Get in the habit of consuming a glass of water with each of your 3 meals. Now we're really about halfway there. Then I simply need you to drink 1 glass of water between breakfast and lunch and 1 glass of water between lunch and dinner, and there we go. You've gotten in your 5 20-ounce glasses, your 100 ounces for the day, and you've spread it out and you've stacked it the first half of your day, so that you've consumed most of that water by the dinner hour. Keeping in mind that you make urine for about 6 hours after you finish drinking, I don't want you finishing your 6 glasses or 5 glasses right before bedtime, because then you're going to be making urine all night long. Upping your water game is a really, really important step to achieving your nutrition goals in MS. Quick disclaimer. The information I provide in this video and all my videos is intended to up your game and to help you with a more informed conversation with your clinician. You have to talk to your doctor about what's right for you, including recommendations for diet and nutrition. This video doesn't replace that conversation. Next, let's talk about protein. Protein is one of the 3 macronutrients: carbohydrates, fat, and protein. Protein's super important. And interestingly, it's the most satiating of all the macronutrients, meaning if you eat protein, you're going to feel more full than if you had a piece of fat or a carbohydrate. Getting enough protein is something that most of us don't actually do a good job of. You need to have 1 gram of protein per day per kilo of body weight. So a kilo is 2.2 pounds. So you need a gram of protein for every 2.2 pounds you weigh. That means that the average male is going to need between 75 and 80 grams of protein a day. And that's a lot of protein. And so I want you to be conscientious about the amount of protein you're taking in. If you're not sure that you're getting enough protein, you might want to track it for a little bit. Download a smart app on your phone like MyFitnessPal, and for a week or 2, just track what you're eating, and then you can go back and look and see if you're actually hitting that 1 gram of protein per kilo of body weight. Now, where can you get good sources of protein? Of course, lean meats are awesome. Fish, probably first and foremost, is an awesome source of healthy protein. Lean cuts of meat like poultry, chicken breast is really high in protein, beef, pork. These are all really good sources of protein. But you don't have to only eat meat to get protein. Eggs are extremely high in protein, as are cheese and milk. And so those are good sources. Beans are a good place to get protein. A handful of nuts is a very high protein source. And so you can be creative and have varied options for how you're getting your protein intake. Sometimes it's helpful to grab a protein powder. So a scoop of protein powder will give you 15 grams of protein. And whereas I don't want that to be your primary source of adding protein, it's a great supplement if you're having trouble consuming that much food. Make sure that you're getting enough protein in your diet. It's a major element to success with nutrition in MS. Fiber is really important. And interestingly and unfortunately, most fast food and heavily processed foods, the manufacturers have literally removed the fiber. Why? Because it makes it faster to cook so you can consume it quicker. But an American diet that's devoid of fiber is bad news bears, and it can wreak havoc with multiple systems in the body. I need you to up your fiber game. An average gal needs to get about 25 grams of fiber a day. That's a lot. And an average guy needs to get 35 to 38 grams of fiber a day. So where do you get fiber? Natural sources are my preference. And so green and leafy vegetables like spinach and kale are awesome. Broccoli is a great source of fiber. And I don't want you to limit yourself to a giant plate of broccoli. There are great, delicious fruits that are high in fiber, things like berries, pears, apples, plums, and prunes, and those are good sources of fiber. You can find high fiber foods in other places like avocado. Avocado is a superfood and very, very high in fiber. And if you're not able to get your 25 or 35 grams of fiber just through those foods, it's easy enough to pick up a fiber supplement like Metamucil that you can add into your water or take a pill to help ensure that you're getting adequate fiber in your diet. Now let's turn our attention to some supplements. I want you to take a multivitamin. A multivitamin is a relatively inexpensive and easy way to make sure that you're not missing any micronutrients. We're going to take it a step further, and I want you to up your vitamin D game. Low levels of vitamin D increase the risk for someone to develop MS, and if you already have MS, low levels of vitamin D drive this disease faster. A low level I define as under 50. I want your vitamin D25 OH level, a blood test that I can check in clinic, above 50 but below 100. That's the range that I want you in. And most of us Ohioans, where we don't see the sun half the year, we have really low vitamin D because you get vitamin D naturally through the sun. So we want to up your vitamin D. Now, one way to do that is actually to go out in a halter top or shirtless in full sun for 15 minutes, and you'll absorb 5,000 international units of D3, which is pretty much exactly what I want you to get. And so that's actually a superb way of doing it, and it's cost effective. The only problem is going outside in February in Ohio, you're going to freeze to death. And so that might not be a realistic option every day of the year for most people. In that instance, then we can supplement vitamin D. And to be transparent, the easiest way to do it is to grab a bottle of D3 pills. We want to follow your blood level, so you'll have to talk to your doctor about what dose, but I'll share with you that on average, most Ohioans are taking 5,000 international units a day, or with a prescription, they're getting 50,000 international units weekly. We check those levels to keep them between 50 and 100. Another supplement that I strongly encourage people to consider is probiotics. The gut is lined with a bunch of bacteria, and we call that the microbiome. And we know that in the setting of multiple sclerosis, the microbiome is jacked up. We call that dysbiosis. And when you take a probiotic, you're literally swallowing billions of healthy bacteria, which can then go and recolonize your gut. This translates into my patients that have diarrhea being pulled to the center and having formed a stool, and my patients that are really constipated being pulled to the center and having a stool that's easy to pass. Just like with fiber, adding in probiotics is really, really important for gut health and can make a major difference in your life. So along with the fiber, I would absolutely add in a probiotic. Now, as a side comment, there is some ongoing exciting research looking at whether or not changing the gut microbiome might actually slow down multiple sclerosis, but that's works in progress. My recommendation of taking a probiotic is really to help you with your gut health. My next recommendation is to add in flaxseed oil. So flaxseed oil is a super source of fiber and an excellent source of omega-3 fatty acids. And when I look at all of the different supplements that have been studied in MS, I'm struck that adding in omega-3 fatty acids is probably a really good modification to add in. Flaxseed oil in specific, I think, has the very best data. And you get a twofer because you get fiber and omega-3 fatty acids. In quick summary, I want you to live your very best life despite having MS. And it's a fool that thinks they can do that with just a pill or a shot. We're going to need a multi-pronged approach, and that most certainly is going to involve nutrition. I want you to pay attention to when you're eating and making sure that there's time in between meals to let your insulin levels fall back down. Basically, I don't want you to snack. I want you to avoid heavily processed foods, sugar-laden foods, fast foods, fried foods, diet foods, and foods with chemicals in the name that you can't pronounce. Those are chemicals, not food, and not to be eaten. I need you to pay attention to your water game and make sure that you're getting an adequate amount of water, between 100 and 120 ounces a day. Likewise, we want to pay close attention to your protein intake, shooting for 1 gram of protein for every kilo of body weight. I need you to pay attention to your fiber intake, and I want to make sure that you're getting adequate fiber. We want to up your vitamin D. Adding in a multivitamin and a probiotic and adding in flaxseed oil are key supplements in my opinion. Thanks for learning about MS with me, and if you'd like to further up your game and learn tricks and tips to better your MS nutrition, click the video that's on your screen right now. And until my next Monday morning video or my next monthly live stream, or even better yet, the next time I see you at the Boster Center for Multiple Sclerosis, this is Aaron Boster saying be safe and take care.